Earlier today, RMC announced their new Wild Moose coaster model. Let's talk about it more up next. Before we start, I would like to thank you guys so much for 350 subscribers. It means the world to me to see you all enjoying the content that I'm making, as well as interacting with you guys all daily. If you're not subscribed yet, here's a shameless plug to do so, but my next goal is 500 subscribers before the end of September. I would also like to add that a lot of what I'm about to say in this video are my own thoughts and opinions. But anyways, let's get on to the video. Rocky Mountain Construction, better known as RMC, has finally revealed what they've been teasing for weeks. The new Wild Moose coaster is RMC's take on the new family model designed to fit into an extremely compact plot of land. As a play on words of the Wild Mouse coaster designed by multiple manufacturers, RMC has actually designed this coaster to be able to fit into a Wild Mouse plot of land, as it would be a great replacement for the aging Wild Mouse coasters. The initial layout of the model stands 47 feet tall, is 1,260 feet long, and goes a maximum speed of 35 miles an hour. Comparing it to a basic Wild Mouse layout, which stands 49 feet tall, is 1,213 feet long, and goes at a top speed of 28 miles an hour, the design concepts are very similar. Some advantages to the coaster is that it actually runs with two 6-car trains that will hold a total of 12 riders per cycle versus the individual cars of a typical Wild Mouse coaster that only hold 4 guests per cycle. Now, RMC states that the capacity will be a little bit better than the typical Wild Mouse since the restraint systems have been designed for ease of loading and unloading for guests, which in my assumption just means that it's either going to have a lack of seatbelts or possibly just be a lot easier to push open after the ride cycle. After working on Wicked Cyclone for 4 seasons, I can attest that pushing down those lap bars and pulling up on them every single cycle can be extremely tiresome. So hopefully this issue is actually resolved. Speaking of the trains, we actually do have a brand new train design, which is very exciting. RMC has finally introduced a new style of train that is much more open and looks very similar to the Gerstlauer trains found on RMC's first 2 coasters, New Texas Giant and Iron Rattler. While this new train type has only been talked about on their family coasters, it makes me wonder if they could actually be added to the large-scale RMCs as a train upgrade. Maybe even eliminating the double restraint check that a ton of RMCs have to do prior to dispatch by first checking the seatbelts, locking the trains, and then checking the lap bars. That would be the dream, as it would be much less work for the employees and also would increase rider capacity. So do I think this is a good choice for Rocky Mountain Construction? Absolutely. RMC has always been known to design and sell major thrill coasters, but they've also been low-key boxing themselves in for not being able to sell to repeat parks. Besides the single row models, the company only sells iBox style coasters. For example, another park could have a floorless coaster, a flying coaster, a wing coaster, a stand-up coaster, a sit-down coaster, an invert coaster, and a hyper coaster, all from B&M, but they can only really max out with 2 or 3 coasters from RMC. Now this new coaster model opens up a whole demographic for kids and families. I can see parks using RMC to build family thrill coasters like mine trains, kiddie coasters, and much more beyond just a Wild Mouse replacement. This would also create much more competition from Gravity Group since they're going to be competing directly with their family coaster model. More competition is always a good thing though, since it makes manufacturers think outside the box and come up with much more awesome designs. Now what parks can I see getting this coaster? Well, 2 come to mind right away. Well, I can see chains like Six Flags and Cedar Fair buying these like crazy. The first one I can actually see buying this would be Busch Gardens Tampa. Now I know that this is probably very unlikely to happen, but since they just got rid of Sand Serpent, their mock Wild Mouse, it would make the most sense since it could just be easily plopped down and bam, you have a brand new family coaster. This new family coaster can also attract a lot of families to Busch Gardens Tampa in the next few years and allow them to start saving a lot more money for that Giga that we all want to replace Jungala. The next park I can also see this coming to would be Six Flags New England. I say this for a few reasons. Number 1, Gauntlet is pretty terrible. As you may have saw in my coaster ranking video of Six Flags New England, Gauntlet is pretty painful, it's trimmed way too hard, it's been a maintenance nightmare for the park, and while it did open with some really cool theming, a lot of it actually is pretty much gone now. I would be okay with the park removing it just to add in one of these coasters. The park also has a ton of land around the coaster that they could possibly do an extended layout, which would be really awesome. This coaster type would also be a great starter coaster, so that way you can work your way up to a ride like Wicked Cyclone. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I personally hate the fact that the ride is still named Gotham City Gauntlet, and it not being in the Gotham City section of the park. And while I do know that technically it does fit into the section, and Gauntlet did come first, it is just my opinion and I feel like they should just rename it. Personally, I think that this is an amazing move for RMC. I can't wait to see their new train designs and to see how their new small scale coasters ride. I think that this is a step in the right direction for the company, and hopefully we can see that T-Rex come soon after this. So what do you think of the Wild Moose? Do you think it is a good move for RMC? Or do you think they should be working on other model types? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as it does really help the channel out, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye.